So I'm Stefano Foresti. You can find my, you can reach me that way. I'm with UC Merced and Citrus, and I also have a project and startup in this field, aiming to solve the privacy problem. So now I wanted to put this image there because indeed there is a lot of confusion or a lot of different possible interpretations about these names. People talk a lot about privacy and security. A lot of times they're overlapped or intermixed. And now in this panel we're also talking about ownership, and that's, as we were hearing this morning, that is almost probably even one of the most difficult concepts to define when we're talking about digital data. But but in a way, I wanted to draw some analogy to what happens in the real world. Like when you're looking at land, you have ownership of land, then you have rights, and then you have so the ownership, then there is the rights, the privacy, and then there is the security, which is the enforcement of whatever ownership and privacy was. So in the data space, in the digital space, I believe that it should be the same. So the ownership is, in essence, who will end up deciding the privacy rules, and then the security should be just the law enforcement to support that. So now, one of the things I wanted to do to set the stage, I wanted to kind of like bring up list out all the various things that happens in our daily life, offline and online. Because when we're talking about data collection and a lot of these things, all these things are happening while we run our lives. You know, we browse and all the data about all our business is collected in mobile, even that plus geolocation where we are. We go offline, we're using the shopping cards of Safeway or whatever, and they can collect all the data. Then there is a lot of public data available, property, phone, family records. Well, it turns out that in all our activities, all the data is collected, and there are really, there is a tier of organizations that deal with that data. There are the collectors, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Walmart, and whatever else. Then there are some brokers. Those guys, some of the collectors are brokers too, but the brokers sometimes are hidden. And I listed there one of them. So, and those are the ones that really collect data, and they get them from all different sources to do what? To, in essence, to sell them to the third tier, which is like the advertiser and merchants. So now, the bottom line is that we have aggregated big data that is used for marketing and ads. Now, and what's the result? What's the result is that, I mean, just to jump to the conclusion is that we have been accustomed to this very easy way to sign up for free services. We get a lot of convenience from the free services, we get value, but in reality, when we click the button, we consent to data collection. And then we have a lot of convenience, but the convenience combined with the data collection allows this company to do what is called price discrimination, which means like, now I know a lot about you, and I'm gonna, for the same thing, I make you pay this much and that other guy more or less. And so it boils down that really, one of the sentences I said is like, about free services, like if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. Now, another thing that you know, now it's been a year and a half or two that has been going on, but you know, the revelations of Snowden have highlighted a lot of stuff that is done and data that is collected, and especially data, and also metadata, and then the whole thing put a lot of questions around whether encryption works, or whether in practice encryption works, and whether the software is to be trusted. Well, it boils down that now you have two things coming together. You have all the commercial space that is collecting data. There may be other data collected by governments or and so the question is, and I talk to a lot of people that say, oh, I don't worry about privacy or they don't because I'm doing nothing wrong, right? But really the issue is that all our data and our communications are collected, and if you're this data is forever, because we can assume that digital data could be not forever, but we don't know how long it's going to be last. Boils down that we don't know how our info is going to be used tomorrow. So I may not be doing something wrong today, but we don't know whether now we are doing something with data for which tomorrow someone thinks that we have been doing something wrong. So I think that is really the reason why individuals should worry about the data privacy. Now, as far as now my own point of view and the thing that I hope for is that we can build an information economy, a real information economy, granular, meaning like where we are at the point where all data can be owned, controlled, and monetized. And that ownership is at a granular level in the hands of people or organization. Right now, it's skewed in this data is copied, is leaked, and the big difference that there is between the physical properties and digital properties, that digital assets can be infinitely copied. And so the concept about ownership, I have a video, but really I own the movie, I own the DVD of the movie, but the movie is actually owned by the movie company. All right, so last, I wanted to conclude by talking about what I'm doing. I've been designing and building a system, but with that in mind, and it's work in progress. And I start from I believe that the criteria for ownership, they have to start from registration of data. For the concept that we were saying about, that I was saying about data is copied. How can we say who can control data if data is copied infinitely? I believe that it should be a registration of data when it is captured or created, and that sets the ground from its identity. On top of that, you can build user interfaces for intentional permissions and insert in the real world. Okay, now I led to the second panelists.